Hello and welcome to another stream of Control. We finished the Foundation DLC yesterday, and so we're going to be doing the AWE DLC today, the Alan Wake Experience. In the Remedy, in Control, AWE usually stands for Altered World Event, but for this DLC, the AWE stands for Alan Wake Experience, but also Altered World Event because what happened in Bright Falls in Alan Wake 1 is considered to be an Altered World Event. Hey there, Gamer Loop. Welcome on in. I hope things are going well. Hey Star. How's things? Welcome on in. Spoopy indeed. Yeah, it's pretty trippy too. Some great visuals and stuff in this game, visual effects and things. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in Control 2. Gamer Loop, everything's good here. How are you? Oh, that's excellent, Gamer Loop. I'm glad to hear that things are going good. As for me, I'm doing well. Making good progress in my playthroughs so far this year, so that's good. But as for myself, I'm doing well. Nice emote there, Star. Joji, do you want a balloon? We all float down here. So yesterday I gave a preview of today's stream and the content, and now I'm going to go in and actually watch the video in full. In this game, when you come across like a video, or you come across any audio or any other sort of like visual stuff, especially when it's like the hotline stuff, you only get a portion of the full thing in the actual gameplay itself. If you want to get the full version, you need to go into your menu and the collectibles and play it. So this Alan Wake video that we're about to watch now, a little bit of it had already played at the end of the previous stream as we approached the elevator, and I used that also as a tease at the end of that stream for this. And so now we're going to watch the full thing at the start of this stream for the AWE DLC.
Darkness engulfed the elevator. There was something there. A presence. Jesse Faden could hear it. A call. It was faint, reaching for her from a dark place. Faden was sensitive to visitations. She had them all the time. From her guiding star and the previous director. She was the perfect receiver. As if she'd been made for this. Faden paused to feel it. The force at play here. It was changing things around her, subtle, trying to make her act. Faden didn't like that. Her guide felt it too. Polaris didn't flare up in defense as with the hiss, so it wasn't all bad. Not a hostile transmission. It was powerful, but it was coming from far away, and made weak because of the distance. It was a distress call. Faden sensed a drowning man, a man desperate to escape. She sensed something else, too. A hunger in the dark, not unlike the hostile resonance, waiting. She knew that desperate acts can have grim consequences. It was this, more than the man's despair, that made her follow the call. The elevator lights winked back on. The darkness receded like a memory. There was a new button on the elevator control panel. Investigation Sector. Faden pressed the button. The elevator doors slid shut with practiced bravado.
Mr. Gote, welcome on in. You'd like to try that drink job loss that's in the ad, or that whiplash? Don't know, dude. I don't see those ads when I'm streaming. How's things going, dude?
Careful out there, Director.
Investigation Sector.
Anyone here?
Guess not.
Mr. Goethe got a lot of drink driving ads today. It's insane. Oh, did you really? Yeah, being the holidays still, I guess they're out in force. Gamerloop, thanks for redeeming the Arnie in Control. I'll read this one normally, and then I'll grab another one. Official Findings Report regarding Dr. Casper Darling. Per authorization from Mr. Kirkland, Internal Investigation D084-5 was launched into the ethical practices of Dr. Casper Darling, Head of Research. Despite the accounts of anonymous redacted regarding inhumane treatment of a redacted currently housed in the Bureau, our official findings regarding this were inconclusive. Numerous obstacles arose during this investigation. The majority of redacted sector personnel seemed to be wholly unaware of any such redacted contained there. One redacted confirmed the redacted's code name to be redacted, but all files pertaining to that name were inaccessible, being classified under the highest clearance level. Investigators were similarly blocked from entering the redacted research wing to interview its staff. The matter was further complicated by the lack of clarity on whether non-human paranatural entities warrant humane treatment. While this investigation cannot address any charges against Dr. Darling, we do recommend an investigation into redacted research. Okay, so here's the document I'm going to read with the Arnie impression. Thanks for redeeming that, Gamerloop. Listen, I know you can't control building shifts, but the executive level restroom has been missing for weeks now. I worked my ass off in the Islamabad station for 3 years. I've earned the right to a nice workplace shitter. If you can't bring it back, at least find out where it went. D. Rodriguez. Workplace shitter. Thanks for redeeming that, Gamerloop.
Seems a lot more crowded than the rest of the Bureau.
It's so funny. Could you imagine Arnie in like a Remedy game? Casey inquiry. Mr. Dennis, a request came through recently from an FBI agent asking for all our files on Bright Falls, specifically on the disappearance of the author, Alan Wake. Per the Interagency Information Exchange Agreement, I had some paper pushers gather up a folder of all the pre-approved files. Don't worry, all the inappropriate material is either missing or redacted. But I'm writing to let you know that we received this request from a special agent named Alex Casey. Sounds familiar, right? That's because Alex Casey is the name of the fictional detective in those hard-boiled crime books Alan Wake wrote. Pretty interesting that an FBI agent sharing a name with the most famous character Wake wrote is looking into a case dealing with a writer's fiction coming true. I think this is worth looking into, but what's your opinion? Just give the word and I'll start surveillance on this guy, Special Investigator Gleason. Gamerloop, the document was supposed to be serious and it sounded really funny. Yeah, absolutely, And that's the great thing about doing impressions sometimes, is it can make something that's not funny actually funny. Missing agents. Redacted 2017. Mr. Kirkland, here are latest agents confirmed missing, presumed dead, from the containment breach yesterday. Agent Jonathan Connor, Researcher Ezra Cruz, Agent Caroline Dempsey, Agent Lindsay Malcolm, Agent Charles Murray, and Agent Derek Shah. Letters of condolence will be delivered to you to sign prior to sending them to their families. You will be updated as soon as additional confirmations are made. Also, per your request, a network engineer checked how many cases were backed up digitally. Unfortunately, a large number of active investigations were not archived yet, and the only hard copies of reports exist behind the firebreak. They're lost, I'm afraid. Yeah, Gamer Loop, and there's so many impressions that I wish I could do, but they're a bit difficult because, like, the hardest thing for me to do with impressions is any characters who have gruff voices, because it's not just making your voice sound gruff. Like, I can make my voice sound like this, but that doesn't help me make it sound like Geralt or sound like Adam Jensen. You know what I mean? That's just my own voice doing a, impression like that of its own, But to take that and also apply it to something else and grab and be able to do that, that's definitely an impression type that I can't really do that well. There's an old saying, kill one man, you're a murderer. Kill a million, a king. Kill them all, a god. Thanks for redeeming that, Mr. Gote. What's that from? Keystone inspection. Mr. Kirkland, we stopped at Keystone on our way to the target AWE like you asked. I'm sending my report directly to you to try and keep a lid on this Grumman/Morales desertion issue. We didn't find any sign of them here. Given their records, it is possible they've switched teams, like you suspected, but I don't think that's the case. An event definitely occurred here in Keystone, and I think Grumman and Morales got caught up in it. The entire population has vanished into thin air. Reminds me of the Ordinary case, but that was just the adults, if I'm remembering the file correctly. This is different. I think our guys are casualties, not traitors. If it wasn't AWE, it seems to be over. We walked through the whole town, and the only strange thing we noticed were markings on various buildings. 2 overlapping circles with a dot in the shared space. Could be unrelated. I'll show you the pictures when I get back. In the meantime, you should send a team out here to cordon this place off, and maybe get the comms guy working on a cover story. Sincerely, Agent Keenum. Ah, so it's that from that movie. Yeah, I've only seen that once, and that was enough. But I always thought that it would have been good to do a third Blade movie still and call it Blade 3, because Blade Trinity, is the subtitle. And technically it would be the third movie, but do a Blade 3 that ignores Blade Trinity and set it in a future time period where the majority of the population of humans and vampires is dwindled down to a low number, and so there's only a few humans and a few vampires left, and the main villain is hoping that he's going to be able to finally convince Blade to actually join their side and kill off the rest of the humans, right? But Blade is torn, of course, between the humans and the vampires. On one hand, he thinks that maybe killing all the rest of the humans would be a mercy for them, but then he's sort of conflicted and he's thinking, for centuries he's fought to, stop the vampires from killing humans, And then, in my idea, at the end of the movie, Blade would actually sacrifice himself after killing all the other vampires to make sure that there were no more vampires that could possibly be in existence. And so at the end of the movie, the human population that's left is able to survive and thrive, and society begins again. But the vampire creature is completely eradicated from existence. And the idea would fit really well with Wesley Snipes' age, because you could show Blade, because Blade ages differently, right? So whatever age Wesley Snipes is at the moment, he could still play Blade looking old, because Blade himself would be, like, what, I don't know, 500 years by the point in the story idea I had, and so he'd have like grey hair and everything maybe, or if, it just depending. But I thought that would have been an interesting kind of Blade finale to have with the story. Ethics Investigation. Official findings report regarding the Prime Candidate Program. Per authorization for Mr. Kirkland, Internal Investigation P142-9 was launched into the legality of the Prime Candidate Program redacted by the Federal Bureau of Control. Since all known subjects relevant to the investigation used executive privilege to decline interviews, very little first-hand information was gathered. However, anonymous sources and documentation declassified by Mr. Kirkland both paint an alarmingly clear picture of systematic redacted were brought into the oldest house and placed under redacted examination and testing with the aim of appointing one as director upon maturity. This program has produced no successful cases and only resulted in the traumatic redacted of paranaturally inclined redacted. Not only is this in breach of the Ash Act, but it flies in the face of basic human redacted. This investigation team unequivocally redacted the Prime Candidate Program and recommends that it be redacted immediately. Mr. Gote, or you could make it like Underworld and kill the first vampire and makes them all disappear or something like that, or make a cure from it. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. You know, like maybe some humans got infected and they haven't turned yet by the end of the story, but they're able to, you know, their blood is able to be used to create like a cure for them or something like that. Or maybe even Blade himself. Maybe Blade's blood could be, you know, the cure as well, and that could be his final sacrificial act. Tractor procedures. Burrow tractor. Altered item 82KE. Item is not in Bureau custody. None known. A Frank elk tractor, olive green. Dried blood on the grill when last seen. Item is capable of vocalized responses, or growls, and unmanned locomotion. Considered highly aggressive and dangerous. The item first came to the Bureau's attention after the death of William Burrow, owner of Burrow Farm outside of Trenton, Texas. Local authorities arrived on scene after an employee found the mutilated body of Mr. Burrow beneath his tractor. Police arrived but were immediately driven away by the tractor. Panicked calls to federal authorities were intercepted by Bureau communication staff. A team was dispatched. Upon arrival, the agents approached the item. It responded by growling like a bear. 3 agents were injured when they tried to detain the item, which escaped. Aerial searches for the item are ongoing. Speaking to Mrs. Burrow only revealed that she had a domestic altercation with Mr. Burrow earlier the night of the incident. Whether these events are connected is currently unknown. Mr. Gote, Last of Us had a fungus, and Ellie was immune, and they were going to cure her, but it would kill her at the same time. Fungus, not ant, sorry, and the fungus made the zombies. That's true. Exactly, Mr. Gote, yeah. Yeah, I've only played Last of Us 1, but yeah, that's how that ends. Well, I mean, obviously Joel escapes with Ellie, but that was the plan that they had for Ellie, and that's the result of the operation would be that she would die. Okay, I need to take that to that spot, but first, looking for more documents. Here we go. Cauldron Lake update. To Chief Investigator Dennis. It happened again. 3rd time this year. Something certainly has it out for our redacted. Could be raccoons, the locals certainly complain about them enough. But why the hell would raccoons keep going after a monitoring station? Doesn't add up. Anyway, I've got a bureau tech going to the site next week to take a look. Next on the list of recurring problems is the staff at the Lake House Research Station. How am I supposed to effectively keep an eye on redacted Lake if they won't let me see my data? Hell, I don't even know what they're researching out there. We need to petition them again to share their info with investigations agents. It's only a matter of time before this redacted hits again, and I want to be prepared. Anyway, if anyone at HQ asks why the Bright Falls report is a little thin this month, tell them it's because we couldn't take any readings. In the meantime, I might invest in some raccoon traps. Sincerely, Agent Estevez. Agent Estevez! She's in Alan Wake 2. I'm pretty sure. I need to make notes now on things. But yeah, it talks about the research monitoring station, which we actually visit in Alan Wake 2. Well, we don't actually go and visit it specifically. You can only get to the fence. You can't actually enter it. See, having played Alan Wake 2 now and replaying this DLC, Obviously, by this point, when this game came out in 2019, they were already locked in, I imagine, to the actual Alan Wake 2 story that we got with Alan Wake 2. Because Remedy, over the years since Alan Wake 1, had been working on multiple different, ideas and things for sequels, and even just doing bits here and there and stuff. But they eventually finalized on what they were actually going to do for Alan Wake 2, and that's what we got at the end of last year. So a lot of the documentation in this DLC is directly relating to things that are in Alan Wake 2, which is really cool. And it sort of paints a bit of a picture of the timeline of what's going on and everything like that. And I had a theory that maybe the events of Control, some of them were still happening while Alan Wake 2's events take place. Tractor supplement. Burrow Tractor, altered item 82KE. Note, miscommunication led to a local coroner examining the body of William Burrow. Burrow William, male Caucasian. 33-year-old man found dead on his property, per police report. Remains obtained for coroner's office also include blood, urine, bile, stomach contents, and bone fragments. Autopsy findings: blunt force injuries to the head, lacerations on the left ear/cheek, blunt force injuries to the extremities, dislocation to the right knee, complete avulsion of the right upper extremity with associated fracture of the proximal right humerus, extensive trauma, abdominal region, complete avulsion of multiple organs including stomach, heart, liver, pancreas, kidneys, and portions of the large and small intestine, all missing from scene. It is my opinion that Mr. Burrow's death is not the result of a mechanical accident, as claimed by authorities. The removal of organs is consistent with animal attack. Resignation letter, redacted of redacted 2019, to whom it may concern. It is with great anger and regret that I tender my resignation as head of investigations for the Federal Bureau of Control. I do this in protest of the rampant disregard for my department's redacted. My staff cannot continue to work in these conditions. Previous requests and warnings have fallen on deaf ears, so I must now rely on my actions to speak louder than my words ever could. I blame this situation on our redacted, who has routinely ignored my requests for assistance in reclaiming the parts of the investigation sector lost to the redacted loose inside. I will never forget the screams of brave agents begging for us to open that firebreak. I will carry that shame for the rest of my days. The redacted has failed his agents. I shall never forgive him for that. Sincerely, William Kirkland. Staffing issue. Mr. Dennis, so yes, there's an increase in AWE cases, and yes, it would be a good idea to put together a special task force to examine exactly why that is. However, it seems that a tiny little detail has slipped through the cracks. We don't have the damn staff. If you expect us to detect, investigate, and process more AWE cases, you need to give us more people. It's simple math. Between the staff we lost in the Hartman thing and the ones who left for other departments after Kirkland quit, we're barely managing to keep up with the workload. Hell, just filing the paperwork for all the altered items we left behind in the sector has been an ordeal. Another thing, and this is going to sound paradoxical, but we have an overcrowding situation. This lobby isn't meant to accommodate a whole sector's worth of staff. We put forward a motion to move investigations to a more suitable location months ago. It better not still be sitting on your desk. The people are getting restless and, as Kirkland's interim replacement, it's your job to handle it. Best regards, Agent Grayson. Sometimes they call him Dick.
There. Now that gate should open.
Trench, official warning. Kirkland, I'm growing tired of your blatant attempts to lay your incompetence at my doorstep. I know you want this to be true, but you are head of investigations. This failure is your responsibility. What did you think would happen, holding a dangerous specimen in investigations? The containment sector exists for a reason. They are better trained and better equipped for this type of work. In fact, they have admirably taken on certain AWE monitoring responsibilities that your staff are no longer capable of. This happens more and more now. And don't think your petty internal investigations have gone past my notice. You are a worm. Everything I've done has been for the benefit of the Bureau. The Prime Candidate program only failed because of Darling. You are both failures plotting against me. You are traitors, but the truth will emerge out of you. You are choosing to become my enemy, Kirkland. You don't want to be. Zachariah Trench, Director of the Federal Bureau of Control. Director Investigation. Official Findings Report regarding Redacted. Per authorization for Mr. Kirkland, Redacted was launched into the Redacted of Director Zachariah Trench. A recent change in Redacted witnessed in Director Trench, including aggressive Redacted when redacted, with other staff has been observed. However, this investigation is aimed at interpreting this issue rather than proving it. Notable Redacted between Director Trench and Dr. Darling has been witnessed by numerous Bureau staff. Although both declined to meet for an interview on the matter, witness accounts suggest their arguments center around the Dimensional Research Wing and the Redacted kept inside. However, no evidence exists to confirm Dr. Trench's Redacted as anything more than interpersonal disagreements. This investigation has concluded that Director Trench's behavior is not indicative of any Redacted, and that his fitness to lead is not in question. Refer to file Redacted for full report. Underhill background regarding Dr. Raya Underhill. Dr. Raya Underhill is a professor at the University of Woodrow in the United Kingdom, where she teaches biology with a focus on botany. Dr. Underhill once worked with the Bureau as a parabotanist stationed in the research sector of the oldest house. She served with no incidents or demerits and is praised by those who formerly worked with her, including Dr. Darling. Dr. Underhill has no known connections to paracriminal organizations or any record of breaching her NDA since leaving the Bureau. Her civilian behavior has been ideal, with the exception of an ongoing personal relationship with Dr. Darling that appears to have begun during their time as co-workers in the research sector and revisited intermittently ever since. Depending on the duration of her work in the oldest house, it may be required to have both parties sign a relationship clearance form. This investigation has found no compelling reason to deny Dr. Darling's request to offer Dr. Underhill an interim position with the aim of finding a solution to the mold threshold issue. Specimen Escape Assessment regarding the incident #A-49. The purpose of Internal Investigations X-039-7 is to examine the containment failure of specimen SI-1 that resulted in the deaths of redacted agents. An inspection report of the containment equipment 3 days earlier showed no faults. Investigators suspect human error to be the cause, yet no department has provided any evidence to support this. Technicians were able to recover the researchers' notes on the specimen from the internal network. On the redacted of redacted, the specimen began displaying a sharp increase in aggressive redacted. Cross-referencing that date with various logs found only 2 events inconsistent with the sector's daily routine. 1. The air filters were changed, and 2. An hour prior to the incident, a civilian named Alice redacted, I can say the name though, Alice Wake, entered the sector regarding an unrelated investigation. See interview #65-F-124. Given their connection to the same AWE case, it is likely that Mrs. Redacted's presence is relevant to the specimen's escape and to the redacted. Investigation is ongoing. wanted to construct the charge version just in case I want to swap to that. I think that'll come in handy at the end of the DLC as well. And while I think of it, let's apply some mods to that weapon. Hey Templar Knight. So Rod, Alan Wake and Dead by Daylight. I guess it's fitting since flashlights are OP in Dead by Daylight, and well, you think Mr. Allen's a good fit for that. Yeah, I don't have much experience with Dead by Daylight, but it definitely has had a lot of updates recently, hasn't it? Like, I think they had Chucky from the Child's Play movies and countless other ones too, but it seems like I don't know, maybe they do update it every couple of months or something. But yeah, it's interesting, the different franchises that do that kind of stuff. You know, Fortnite obviously does it a lot too as well. For some reason, Alan Wake and Dead by Daylight isn't that weird to me. Well, yeah, I mean, it's all horror stuff, I guess, as well. But yeah, I don't have experience with that. To be honest, that kind of game doesn't really interest me. I'd probably get bored after a few hours. Not even that, you know, so yeah, it's not my kind of game. Now, if there was a narratively driven single-player game based on some of the horror characters they've had in Dead by Daylight, then sure. But yeah, not as part of something like that.
I'm no detective, but something definitely happened here.
Blessed Organization, Paracriminal Profile, the Blessed Organization. This group/individual has operated outside of the Bureau's notice for decades, perhaps longer, displaying a level of skill and caution rarely seen in paracriminal groups. A review of past cases has found various mentions of their activity over the years. In 2016, a production company called Blessed Pictures was connected to an altered item case, as well as the death of an agent from exposure to illicit paranatural materials. In 1994, a Los Angeles-based public speaker named Chester Bless was involved in the illegal use of an altered item. In 1988, a business called Blessed Repair and Services was suspected of involvement with an object of power case, perhaps even creating it. None of these businesses or individuals have ever been located. However, their connection to the appearances of altered items and objects of power is too direct to be considered circumstantial. An arrest order has been issued for any persons believed to be involved with the Blessed Organization. Templar, I think it's a focus on flashlights and birds, which are common in Alan Wake. Actually, they're making a single-player game based on the DVD universe called The Casting of Frank Stone. It's supposed to kind of be like The Quarry, from what you understand. Yeah, I'd actually heard about that, to be honest, Templar, about them branching out. I mean, if they do, I definitely wouldn't mind exploring those things. Star-Lord, need full story on the Doctor, the Nurse, and the Trickster Daddy. Yeah, I don't know about those characters. Like, I've seen Dead by Daylight being played by a few people, you know, Brock and also Shillerlock as well. So I've seen some gameplay of it, but not my kind of game. I decided to add a new subscriber emote. Jesse Faden as the director.
Do we know each other? This feels familiar. I can't seem to... I've forgotten it. I'm sorry. My name is Alan Wake. Who are you? Who are you? Do I know you?
I'm your friend Tom. Tom Zane. There's nothing to worry about.
Tom. The poet. The diver. You look different.
That was just a role. A character. The protagonist I played in my old film. I'm a filmmaker. An auteur like yourself. We're working on this together, remember? An artistic collaboration. You need a drink. Gippus.
Endless darkness. Nothing holds still.
But we're very close now. You've been writing. You found a way to escape. It'll work this time.
Writing?
You found a way!
No. I don't... Wait. There's something. It's my double. He's out there. I've seen him.
Yeah. Nothing to worry about. I'm dealing with it. It's fine, my friend. Let me handle him.
You've met him? What the hell?
Now, come on. You misunderstand me.
Dun 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 dun.
That was Alan Wake, the writer who went missing in that AWE case I read about. What's he doing here?
Bum, bum, bum.
And Thomas Zane was with him. The poet. No, wait. He was a filmmaker. I always remember that wrong.
Templar, you were hoping it would be based on an already existing character in Dead by Daylight, but I guess it would be cool to see some other characters we don't see. That's fair enough. Star, you're only missing a bunch of toxicity, that's all. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely don't feel I'm missing out on multiplayer stuff from that perspective as well. Templar, basically DBD takes place in a place called the Entity's Realm, and it's separated from the real world through something called the Fog. However, in the Fog, time doesn't work the way we perceive it, and it's caused some characters to be lost in the Fog and unknown where they are exactly. So when they say this new game is a part of the DBD universe, it means like a story that was lost to the Fog. Ah, okay. Cool. The cool thing is, people who haven't played Control if they end up playing Control after having played Alan Wake 2, there's a lot of things that are happening in this DLC if they play it that are actually things in Alan Wake 2 that they'd be like, oh, interesting. So it's so cool having played Alan Wake 2 already, replaying this now, and all these connections and links that were in this that are actually foreshadowing things that are in Alan Wake 2. And that's the thing about foreshadowing as a technique in storytelling, is that it's not always apparent when it's happening that it's foreshadowing something. You know, sometimes it can be apparent that what you're experiencing is foreshadowing something else. For example, there was a movie where this brother was really, really excited to have a gun. It was a Western. He was really excited to have a gun. And he was, you know, shooting so much stuff. He shot like the roof of the barn, you know, he shot everything. And he even shot a puddle of his reflection on the ground. And this is a spoiler for a movie that came out, you know, decades and decades and decades ago. But at the end of the story, he actually shoots himself. And so at the start of the movie, when he shoots his reflection in the puddle, that's foreshadowing the fact that later in the movie, he's going to kill himself. Templar, foreshadowing is a good thing, but you hate when it gives away too much and ruins the future plot point. Yeah, if done well, the actual thing won't necessarily be figured out at that point, you know. But like any storytelling device, nothing is flawless, you know. Even the greatest movies with the best twists, for some people, those twists, they saw it a mile coming, you know. Templar, there's such thing as too much foreshadowing. There is, and I think it's the same with any storytelling device, you know. Having too many flashbacks can ruin a story. Having too many flash forwards can. Having too many, you know, things that go away from the actual relevance of the plot, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Templar, they do it well here because you could perceive this multiple ways depending on if you played Alan Wake 2 first. Oh, exactly, Templar, you know. And there's a fair bit of distance between when this DLC came out and Alan Wake 2 coming out too, so people who have played Alan Wake 2 already and had played this DLC back when it came out, when they replay this DLC now, if they've played Alan Wake 2 as well, then there'll be things that pop out now, you know, like there was a character named earlier, Estevez, an FBC agent named Estevez, you know, that stood out to me. I think they're in Alan Wake 2. But I don't want to talk about Alan Wake 2 spoilers too much, though. In terms of, like, you know, events and stuff. It's one thing to mention names of characters, but, you know, I'd rather have people who are just here for the Control experience.
Dr. Emil Hartman, devoured by hungry darkness, became the thing that had been Hartman. Broke loose, killed everyone it could, lurking, roaming, waiting. Then something else came, a resonance. The thing that had been Hartman went through another change. Dr. Emil Hartman was desperate. The Federal Bureau of Control had stolen his life's work. This was his last chance, his final experiment. What he'd been too scared to do before. Hartman dove into the lake, was taken, devoured by hungry darkness, became the thing that had been Hartman. Only an echo of him remained, fragmented impulses on autoplay. Violent, bloodthirsty darkness in the driver's seat. Emerging from the lake, the thing was captured by the FBC. Brought in, contained, studied. The thing broke loose, killed everyone it could. the FBC fell back and sealed the sector. The thing was alone in the dark, lurking, roaming, waiting. Then something else came. Not darkness, but similar enough. A sound. A resonance. It shouldn't be a surprise. If there's one, why not another? The darkness inside the thing could have been immune, could have resisted, fought, could have been passed by, passed through with no effect. But it didn't, and it wasn't. Maybe it had grown weaker over time, not aged. It was timeless, but weaker with no link to its source. A metamorphosis followed. The thing that had been Hartman went through another change.
Templar Control and Alan Wake are a good portrayal if what we're experiencing is happening or pure insanity. That is true. Yeah, using that as a storytelling device as well. And when a movie or a game, uses that kind of thing, it makes you sort of like look back on events you've already experienced in the story and think, hang on, was that actually something that the person experienced, or were they actually just dreaming at the time, But it's really neither. You're stuck in the grey area between the two. Yeah. And so much can change as well, Like Alan acting confused when the actor Thomas Zane was talking to him, the filmmaker Thomas Zane was talking to him. That's something that plays into Alan Wake 2 as well. Hey Mama Ara, welcome on in. Hope it's going well. Templar, I think that's the real genius of these games. You'll never know what really happened and didn't. It's up to you to decide what do you want to believe. That's true. I feel, though, that is something that should only be to a certain point, though. When it gets to the point where someone is adamantly refusing to accept what actually is in a story, then I feel that believing it's up to you to decide is not something that was intended by the storyteller. You know what I mean? Like, if I wrote a story and I wanted the ending to be that this character dies, and it's not a dream, someone who interprets it as a dream is going to be in the wrong, you know, because the story has had them die for real, like no dream, nothing like that, you know. Just to use it as an example. That's where people's headcanon can come into play and actually undermine the actual thing. Where it's like, no, for me it didn't happen. Like, there's certain things where I'm like, I hate that this happened, but I have to accept it as part of the actual you know, canon of it as well, you know. Templar, now admittedly there are points where you can't argue if it happened or not. Sometimes it is what it is, but there's a lot of areas where you're left to fill in some gaps. And I'm going to die now. Templar, you can have the ending, but sometimes you need to build up to that ending on your own. Ask yourself, how do we get to this point? Yeah. Well, especially when you're trying to figure it out. If the story doesn't, you know, directly tell you. And certainly there's movies.
Damp and abandoned. Why did Wake want me to come here?
Like, you look at the movie Inception, and by design, the ending shot is supposed to make people think and come up with their own conclusion as to whether or not Cobb is still in the dream, or if he's actually woken up, or if he's awake, you know. Or if what's actually happening is actually happening, or it's happening in a dream. So there's definitely stories where it is intended to be up for, you know, interpretation and stuff. I absolutely love all the visual, the construction of it, and like, it's just, man. This is an example of what happens when you have creative people coming up with concepts, and each person playing their role and bringing the concept to life at different stages, and then we get what we finally see in the finished product.
That doesn't look like a house shift. Do I even want to know?
Templar, American Psycho is also a good example. The ending is what it is, but it leaves you to decipher what did Patrick Bateman actually do and what was a fantasy. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen that movie yet, but I definitely don't mind spoilers about it because it's been out for years, and if I haven't seen it by this point, then, you know, talking about spoilers for it is, you know, fine. But yeah, it is different when stories are designed to be ended like that. But when people are like, oh yeah, the ending to Seven, it means that it was all a dream, is like, you know, is not true, you know. So if someone had that perception of the ending of Seven, for example, they'd definitely be, you know, wrong. Templar, that little part of the game reminds you of a song called Infinity Repeating. Infinity Repeating. Infinity Repeating. Infinity Repeating.
Of course, the Hiss are already in here.
The Hiss. They are persistent. They get through all the little tiny cracks everywhere. Jesse is like, I'm the director of the Federal Bureau of Control, which means I can do what I want, including destroying everything I want. Official arrest report. Case hashtag 74-WA-004. Hartman Emil. Wake Allen. Anderson Tor. Anderson Odin. Redacted Lane. Rudolph. Desol Wendy. Emerson Thomas. Redacted. Officer's name Dennis Special Agent Remy. Code 4. Kidnapping of altered individuals. 1 count. Code 8. Sanctions against altered organizations. 1 count. Code 37. Obstruction of Bureau investigation. 1 count. Code 74, breaching the Ash Act, 6 counts. Additional notes. Offender's property seized as evidence to be used in conjunction with an ongoing AWE investigation. Offender's personal effects have been sent to research for analysis. After being cleared by Bureau researchers, all victims have been released. Biannual surveillance orders were assigned to each, except the Anderson brothers, due to their senility, and Wake, possibly deceased. Templar, so he kills a man called Paul Allen, and that's what we think through so much of the movie. And all the characters say that he's missing for the movie. But at the end, Patrick Bateman goes to Paul Allen's apartment only to find it lived in. He asks his co-workers, who all through the movie have been saying Paul's missing, say he's been on vacation for months. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. That's a very interesting sort of like twist, but also leaving it, as you say, is it something that he just imagined the whole time, or was it actually the case? And then who's to say that the latter isn't what he's experiencing? You know what I mean? Like, it's like if I have a dream of an apple and then I wake up and I have an apple in my hand, which is actually the dream? The dream I had with the apple, or me in reality holding the apple? Maybe it's the other way around. Temple, but it leaves so many things in the movie to show Patrick Bateman isn't all there. Nice. Yeah, that's a movie I really do need to see eventually. And I don't mind knowing the ending. There's been some movies where I've known the ending before watching the movie, and I've still enjoyed it. A good example of that is Shutter Island. Like, I hadn't read the book, so from that perspective, I didn't find out about the ending of the movie. But I had the ending told to me, and when I hadn't seen it, and at the time I was annoyed. But then years passed, and then I finally watched it, knowing the end, and I still really, really enjoyed the movie. I still thought it was absolutely great. Foot gossip. Hello, my feet gossip at night and now I have to wear shoes to bed. Sincerely, me. These letters that you can read in this game are so funny. From just randoms. Templar, like when he tries to go to the ATM and his card declined, the ATM says, "Please feed me, kitten." Lo and behold, a stray cat walks up to Patrick. And also when he's being chased by the cops and shoots one round at them from a pistol and the whole car blows up to bits. Sounds like a lot of video game logic, you know. Use an arrow to shoot a fire barrel and it blows up.
This darkness is blocking the door, so now I have to deal with an interdimensional noise and sentient shadows. Light burns it away, huh? Makes sense.
I really love how they, like, I was just going to say, what a great way to blend two different games from the same company in the same universe. You have the mechanics in Alan Wake where it's like you need to shine light on the darkness shields and on patches of darkness and etc. In this game, you have a character that can lift things and move them around. And so combining the two creates situations where there's lights that have to be grabbed by the character and moved around, you know. Things like that, creating a really cool connection, not only between stories and characters and events, but also concepts as well. Templar, it's really funny, but it makes you think how much of the movies actually happened. Some of the people he murdered aren't confirmed to be alive, but there's a lot that definitely didn't happen. You couldn't work at the Bureau of Control. You'd lose your mind on the first day. Oh yeah, it would definitely take a certain kind of strength of mind and things like that to work in something like this place, you know. Just like it is, you know, I imagine for astronauts who have to be able to be in tight, confined spaces, you know. So if you're someone who's claustrophobic, then that kind of thing probably would not be ideal. A lot of patience, yeah, a lot of patience.
The third thing. The sound made darker, the darkness made louder. Hartman was stretched, like a worm through time. The third thing was a monster. Now we crashed out of darkness toward Faden. The resonance carves its way through the thing that had been Artman, vibrating, remolding. The sound changes the darkness, and the darkness changes the sound. They both changed what remained of Artman. They all turned into something else. A third thing. The sound made darker. The darkness made louder. Hartman was stretched. Stretched as anyone when seen from out of time, like a worm through time. Almost an Ouroboros, a spiral, a maelstrom. The gravity well of a black hole, twisting inward, tightening, taking you deeper and deeper to the bottom, the heart, and through to the other side. The third thing said, when you hear this, you will know you're in new you. He said, we build you till nothing remains. He said, under the conceptual reality, behind this reality, you must want these waves to drag you away. He said, baby, 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 yeah, orange peel. The third thing was a monster. He'd tear apart any ordinary person crossing his path. Now we crashed out of darkness toward Faden. There was nothing ordinary about Faden.
Templar, you think your problem would be you couldn't accept that reality doesn't work the same way? Yeah. And there's documents that cover it in this game, but imagine in a normal office job, you sit down at your desk, you go through your tasks for the day, etc., etc. Now imagine you do that, but something changes. On your desk, a pineapple is suddenly there. And you're like, this pineapple wasn't here before. Hey, did anyone see this pineapple? Did anyone bring this in? And everyone looks at you like you're weird because they're like, what pineapple? And you look again and it's not a pineapple anymore. It's just a stapler. Now, is it a stapler or is it a pineapple? Your job now is to figure out, is it both of those things? Or is it something that when you look away from it becomes something else? So when you look back at it, you see the new thing, and then when you look away again and then look back at it, it changes into something else, That's part of your job as an FBC agent. But also imagine you're sitting at your desk and all of a sudden the floor just gives way and you're falling and falling and falling, and then the floor comes back again and you're now 5 floors below in a different part of the building, and then all the people there are like, how the hell did you get here? And then it's like building shift, Templar, it's both, just 2 different realities coexisting. Exactly, But yeah, that's the kind of experiences you would have working for the Federal Bureau of Control. Alright, let's have a look at this stuff first before I continue on. Let's change things up and let's equip the charge one, and let's see if there's something I want to add for this. Templar, wouldn't mind a pineapple. The falling 5 floors underground, not so much. Exactly, Hey Godfather Al, welcome on in. We are indeed controlling all the furniture and all the pieces of the walls and all sorts of stuff. How's it going, Godfather Al? Interrogation complete. Kirkland, so you put me on desk duty just because I did the thing I was fucking hired to do, my job. Want to know what I call that? Bullshit. Asking us to interrogate these scum without using words like altered items or AWEs or paracriminal is the stupidest thing I've heard in my life, and I've heard some fucking stupid things. They already know the facts. Hell, they know just as much as us, if not more. And they get to sit there laughing at us while we dance around our words, trying not to leak classified terminology. They already know the fucking terminology. If you think pulling me off the case will stop me, then think again. That piece of shit blew up those tracks. He killed those people, all to make a train turn altered. We have him dead to rights, and you need to let me back in that interrogation cell so I can get him to flip on his buddies. These people are terrorists and deserve to be treated as such. This won't stop unless we stop them. You can go ahead and put me on suspension. See if that slows me down. Agent Hewitt. Templar, are you telling me your printer could theoretically reality shift into a nuclear football? It could. And it could even talk to you as well. Okay, I won't be doing side content for this DLC. Black market. Official findings report illegal altered item market. A black market hub specializing in the trade of occult talismans, relics, and other assorted ceremonial objects, as well as genuine, altered, and paranatural materials, was raided in Redacted, Czech Republic by a team of special investigators. Unsuccessful attempts by suspects to escape using altered items resulted in the numerous casualties and prevented the Bureau from questioning all participants. The following interrogations revealed that not only is there a vast network of these retailers, but that they seem to be gathering information on altered items and other paranatural materials from sources known to the Bureau. The Bureau's concern here is threefold. There is a growing underground market for paranatural materials, which implies a growing awareness of their existence among a niche group of the general public. These criminal individuals do not seem aware of the item's paranatural powers, and their attempts to activate them could prove devastating if done in populated areas. The motivations of these collectors are largely unknown. I don't know what they're going to do in Control 2, but I hope that part of the game's story is actually going and investigating altered items and all this kind of stuff as well. Templar, if your tape roll can reality shift into a talking humidifier, then you'd be happy. NASA Cooperation Review, Interagency Cooperation Decision regarding NASA. Following the NASA-FBC Coordination Agreement of 1972, the Bureau has provided NASA with numerous technological advancements based on our research, including the black rock lining now found in all spacefaring vessels. In return, all data gathered during space missions is made available for Bureau researchers to analyze. Recently, certain individuals have raised the concern that this relationship does not adequately benefit the Bureau, either intellectually or financially. A thorough examination of the costs accrued by both organizations has shown that the expense of NASA's recent launch of the Redacted far outweighs any spending related to the processing and delivery of black rock. From its medium Earth orbit, the Redacted will provide the Bureau with an unparalleled resource for remotely monitoring and photographing AWE sites, a resource that would be lost if the partnership ends. It is the opinion of this committee that maintaining a cooperative relationship with our colleagues at NASA is of vital importance. Temple, I know you couldn't work here because as soon as the talking object shows up, you'll probably try to take it home. Yeah, and then you'd be in violation of several FBC, codes and stuff. Eagle Limited Summary. The Eagle Limited, AWE-44. A train derailment resulting in 62 casualties and numerous injuries was suspected to have been the work of a paracriminal group known as Redacted. As a result of this event, the agents discovered that one of the cars had become altered with a persistent auditory event. It remains to be determined whether the AWE was spontaneous or the direct result of the sabotage. The Bureau had been tracking said group at the time, and the intel gathered suggested an event of this caliber was imminent in Bloomington. As a result, a response team on site was able to respond to the train accident site within minutes of its occurrence. They arrived to find emergency processes underway, but also equipment left behind by the suspected group. A suspicious onlooker managed to elude agents after they attempted to make contact. Further investigation of the accident site revealed a curiously undamaged train car that exhibited an altered state when entered. This individual car was secured and transported to the investigation sector for further studies. Templar, yeah, the FBC would definitely get you, but at least you died with a talking banana named Pedro in your coat pocket. Vote for Pedro, by the way. If anyone's watched Napoleon Dynamite. The Shadow. Examination of paranatural entities. The Shadow. Paranatural entity A-0110, aka the Shadow, is an aggressive redacted consisting of 3 known types. Type A, localized manifestations of sentient redacted, capable of occupying organic and inorganic material as well as exerting redacted over its surroundings. Type B, shaded individuals, human bodies redacted by the Shadow. These individuals become notably more aggressive, but do seem to retain redacted of their previous selves. Research is ongoing as to whether this condition is reversible. Type C, shaded objects, similar to Type B, except that inanimate objects are redacted solely to be used as destructive tools. Each type seems to work towards a shared goal, possibly targeting certain individuals, see AWE 35, which may imply a shared link to a redacted intelligence. The threat this entity poses warrants immediate exploration of offensive/defensive measures. The investigation sector is being outfitted with additional lighting sources, some internally powered, to prepare for the eventuality of redacted.
My understanding of the darkness is fragmented, incomplete. This abyss, this void, it very much does not wish to be understood. If light symbolizes knowledge, then it stands to reason that darkness would equate to ignorance. By its very nature, it abhors comprehension. Of course, my own nature drives me to comprehend all. We are opposing forces, destined to collide. And given this conflict of natures, we know that the light of truth will burn away the darkness, both figuratively and literally. Any significant light source can be used as protection, even weaponry, against this metaphysical gloom. And then there are the artists. I know for a fact that Tom, Wake, the Anderson brothers, and Lane all had some involvement with the darkness. The question is whether their uncanny ability to affect reality through their art beckons the darkness, or did their work perhaps even create it? With Wake now secure in my lodge, I expect I shall grow closer to learning the answers to these questions. Assuming he cooperates, which is proving quite the challenge. Well, perseverance is the foundation of knowledge. Speaking of, I must be off on my rounds.
So that audio recording that Hartman made was made during the events of Alan Wake 1 at some point. And Alan being in the lodge is the point in the story of Alan Wake 1 that recording would have been made. We don't see it being made, of course, but that doesn't make it not canon, because obviously we don't see every single we don't see every single hour of Hartman's life day in, day out, you know what I mean? So it's it fits. Templar, you get the whole purpose of the FBC, but what they're doing can't really be stopped, and you can't hide the reality shifts forever. The shifts will continue no matter what and can happen anywhere. Well, that's true, and that's why their job also is about controlling the situation as much as possible after the event as well. Like saying, hey, that was just a malfunction of a experimental, light display or something, you know what I mean? Like, they'd be able to come up with some reason. Templar, the Statue of Liberty could shift into a bag of slightly expired chicken chow mein. You definitely couldn't explain that or hide that. Well, I mean, you're using a very specific made-up example to prove your point. But it would depend on several factors. So you'd have to come up with several factors to explain how the FBC would be able to actually hide, to hide that. Templar, with how wacky these shifts can get, you wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Well, that's it. A lot of stuff can happen in the universe of Alan Wake and Control. Hiss Ranger Airborne. This subgroup of Hiss-corrupted Rangers has manifested the ability to levitate similarly to Hiss-elevated agents. However, these airborne Hiss Rangers display no telekinetic abilities and simply continue to use mundane Bureau weaponry. This evolution, being so similar to the elevated, possibly indicates that Hiss can share permutations through a type of network or perhaps osmosis. However, the fact that this development in Hiss Rangers has only been observed in the investigation sector may indicate that an environmental factor is responsible. They could be responding to an altered item or other paranatural element found only in that sector. Or perhaps this is the natural progression of the Hiss Ranger phenotype. Not enough time has passed to determine a conclusive trajectory of development for each of the Hiss manifestations, assuming any such trajectory exists. Refer to file redacted for full report. Templar, now why it's a bag of slightly expired chicken chow mein, because it's what you saw in your fridge when you were getting some tea? Actually, if that could shift into some Buffalo Wild Wings, that would be great. Yeah, imagine having things that are edible and they're not contaminated by anything. You know, there's nothing different about them. It's just that it's a piece of food that can actually change into something different. You know, it'd be so cool. It's like you have a loaf of bread, and that loaf of bread might become a pizza, you know, something like that. Sorry, Artie. The reason I'm not doing a lot of the side content in the DLCs is simply for time. When this playthrough is finished, I'm going to be starting Alan Wake 2, and I'd like to start Alan Wake 2 today after this stream's finished.
I don't feel right. Something in this darkness is draining me. What? What is that?
Darkness.
Come on, elevator, time to go.
Dr. Emil Hartman was desperate.
Fuck. So you don't right. I can use that.
Templar, you'd use that to get fancy 5-star food so much. That's true. You're like, oh, this is so awesome. Templar, well, usually darkness in these games isn't a good thing, so that might be it, man. That's true. Especially, if you're trying to navigate through an area. Night Springs Screenplay, page 1. Note: this screenplay was found after the Bureau acquired the Night Springs television series and all its past episode scripts. It appears to be written by Alan Wake as part of an application to become one of the show's writers. Night Springs spec script. Episode: Over the Threshold, Darkly, by Alan Wake. Host, voiceover. It is only human nature to wish to control the forces around us, and even more so, to possess them. But what happens when those forces are not ours to claim, or even of this world? What if they are the things you can discover in Night Springs? Internal Secret Lab Night. We are in a secret lab. The large sign on the wall reads, The Federal Bureau of Night Springs. Scientist: I've told you several times, Director, it isn't ready. Director: it's ready when I say it's ready, Doctor. Scientist: but the being beyond the portal, we have no control over it.
Arcade machines. Shoom. Shin? Shoo. Wom. Whatever.
Shoo. Wom. I won't be doing these either, but this is a game that you can play. Vending machine procedures. Vending machine altered item 81-KE. Containment procedure, none known. Testing in the investigation sector is currently ongoing. Description: altered effect. A vending machine, its front covered in a faux wood panel, coin operated, buttons for selecting food products. The item generates and stores a variety of material, both edible and otherwise, in its rows of internal trays. Initial testing suggests that the item reacts to the mind of the individual in closest proximity and will produce whatever they subconsciously desire. Attempts to cause the item to create a living redacted have consistently failed. The item was discovered in a nursing home in Redacted, Alberta, after a resident named Muriel Redacted called a local news station about a magic vending machine. The news story reported that the nursing home staff was purposefully stocking the machine with distinctive food and objects as a way to raise resident spirits. The Bureau response team encouraged this story, while confiscating the item.
Brian Hennerman, 21 years old, resident of Southern Texas.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but I really don't understand why I'm here.
You know what you did, Mr. Hennerman.
I do?
Tell me about Delivery Disaster.
The movie? I mean, it wasn't very good.
That's not what your review said, but we'll come back to that. Tell me where you got the movie from.
Movie night with a K, not an N, not night like nighttime, but...
Who contacted you? Who told you to review that film?
No one. I just did it because it looked obscure. I didn't even like the movie. I shouldn't have given such a high score, but reviewing obscure films makes you look smart. And I thought if I looked smart, I would get listeners. My podcast would take off, and I could move out of my parents' basement, and maybe even go to college and get a film degree like I've always wanted to. I swear. I swear, I swear, I swear.
Okay, the kid doesn't know shit. I'm ending the session.
Like, I just review shitty movies for money. Which, I mean, wouldn't be a bad thing. Door appearance. Ocean View Motel observation report. An excursion into the Ocean View Motel and Casino discovered a previously unseen door in the lobby hallway. This door featured a spiral-shaped marking, designation door redacted. Similar to the other doors, it is locked and cannot be forced open. Alice Wake, a person of interest in the Bright Falls Altered World event, refer to AWE 35 for details, and the former wife of missing author Alan Wake, a suspected para-utilitarian and redacted, contacted the agents Shah and Dempsey of the investigation sector using the phone number given to her in 2010 in accordance with civilian outreach protocols. The call resulted in Mrs. Wake being brought into the oldest house for an in-person interview. For a full transcript, refer to file redacted on Redacted 2017. The excursion into the Ocean View Motel occurred later that same day. Determining whether this was a basic synchronicity event, if Alice Wake is responsible for its appearance, or if the door itself relates to AWE 35 is paramount. She should be returned to the oldest house, possibly even taken into the motel itself, to confirm if any other changes occur. Hartman background. Official findings report. Dr. Emil Hartman. Dr. Emil Hartman is an academic psychotherapist that owned and operated a recovery center in Redacted, Washington, focused on the treatment of artists struggling with creative blocks and other mental disorders. Publicly, Dr. Hartman's treatment center seemed unremarkable in its methods and purpose. Privately, however, Dr. Hartman was abusing his patients in order to utilize any latent redacted abilities they may possess with the aim of shaping Redacted to his own benefit, which has earned him a Class 2 paracriminal designation. Note, for more on the link between artists and their ability to redacted reality through artistic mediums, see file redacted. Investigation has proven that Dr. Hartman's illegal endeavors were conducted alone. After being approached by the Bureau during the redacted investigation, he displayed no remorse or intention to cease his actions. Dr. Hartman was taken into custody, evaluated, and released redacted months later, having been deemed a negligible threat. His medical license has been permanently revoked.
Investigations.
Jesus, don't scare me like that, Langston.
If you're talking right now, I can't hear you. It's a one-way system. Try to find an intercom.
Langston, it's me, Jesse.
I know. I can see you on the monitors. The cameras in there haven't worked since we sealed that sector off a couple years back.
Let me guess. You sealed it because of the monster guy.
Wait, did you see Dr. Hartman? Jesus, I really wish you hadn't opened that fire break. Okay, listen, you need to find Hartman and kill him before he gets out into the Bureau.
That thing is a person?
He was a person. We brought him here to study after he was, altered in an AWE. I forget the medical word for what happened, but now light physically hurts him. Do you have a flashlight?
No.
A lantern? Headlamp? Oh yeah, flare gun. Oh, Christmas lights. You could wrap them around your...
I don't have any of those, Langston.
Shit. Okay, well, I'm sure you'll think of something. I'll keep an eye on you from the Panopticon. This is kind of exciting, right?
Maybe from where you're standing.
Right, okay. Well, break a leg. Oh, why did I say that?
Okay, this Hartman thing can't have gotten very far. Let's go flush him out. Langston was right. This is kind of exciting.
It's just nice to have someone to talk to, you know? Ever since I got put in charge of the Panopticon, people treat me different, like I'm crazy for wanting to work with altered items. People just don't understand the altered items like I do, you know? I don't want to brag, but it does take a very empathetic mind to connect with the items.
Doesn't want to
I don't know why
brag.
people are making it so personal.
Right.
I mean, the teams in research handle paranatural materials every day, and no one thinks they're weird. Well, maybe that's not true. Darling is famous for being a bit out there, but when he's weird, it's charming. Altered items really aren't that frightening once you get to know them. If you figure out what they like or don't like, you know, what sets them off, then there's nothing to worry about. I guess at the end of the day, we're still just wild animals scared of our own shadows. We're supposed to be on the same team, but sometimes it feels like it's every department for themselves, like it's a race, and we're all trying to be number one. If it is a race, though, I'd say Darling is a mile ahead of everyone else. He was Trench's golden boy for years, but that relationship has gotten pretty tense, or so I've heard through the grapevine. Not that I spread rumors, just, you know, people talk. Not me, though. I keep my nose to the grind. Too much work to do to focus on those kinds of things. I need to stay focused so I can get my work done and get home to feed Alfred.
He's
of course,
just gonna talk forever,
can't always
isn't
make
he?
it home for mealtime, so I have my neighbor check in on Alfred at 7 o'clock if I'm not back yet. She's very nice. Her name is Maria. She's older. She came to New York in the 50s to attend school and has been here ever since. She has a couple of kids. I met them at Thanksgiving. Big family. Very nice people. Anyway, she has a key to my apartment, and she gives Alfred his dinner if I'm not home. I'm gonna have to buy her a nice fruit arrangement as a thank you after this. I'm missing a lot of Alfred's meal times. She's probably gonna have to go to the store for more wet food. I'll have to remember to pay her back. Hold on, let me make a note. Pay back Maria for Alfred's food. Okay. Oh, one more thing. And buy her a fruit arrangement. All right, done. Are you a cat person? I don't think I ever asked. You seem like one, though. You'd like Alfred. He's very proper. Really carries himself well, you know? I named him after my favorite poet. Felt like a good fit. I got Alfred just before Sylvia died when I was at the... You know, I don't really remember where I got Alfred from. But, boy, those two did not get along. Oh, no. Sylvia thought she owned the place. Didn't like me getting in her way. Scratched me more than once when I was just trying to move her food bowl. That cat was a real asshole.
Wow.
I'm realizing now that
That's
language was
kinda
not
harsh.
entirely, professional. You see, Sylvia didn't tolerate most people, or animals, or anything. And that's what I meant when I said asshole. I would never use that word about a person. It was just, hey, there's a light flashing on the console here. I gotta, check this out. I'll get back to you later.
Real smooth, Langston.
Langston, the master of Segway. I love how he rattles off all the different ways in which you can fight the darkness in Alan Wake, and also mentions the headlamp and the Christmas lights that Barry wears in Alan Wake 1. Arcade Cabinets Procedures. SHUM. Arcade Cabinets. Altered Item 40-PE. A distance of 10 feet between the items suppresses their effect. Effect only triggers on physical contact. Items are a pair of arcade game cabinets, originally designed for the games SHUM, Altered Item 40-A, and SHUM 2, Kolga's Revenge, Altered Item 40-B. The games were manufactured by Bonko Entertainment, now out of business. Despite being a popular arcade game in Japan during the late 80s, early 90s, no other SHUM cabinets have been found by our investigators. When touching one of the items while it stands within 10 feet of its counterpart, the user's mind is transported to a version of their subjective reality that resembles a video game in logic and function. Events from their everyday lives become game-like sequences in which speed and efficacy are paramount. The brain enters a stroke-like state, as proven by EEG studies on users, which only ends after the user finishes their game, at which point they resume normal brain and motor function. Now that's what I call virtual reality. True virtual reality. Not what we currently have now.
Okay, we're gonna try this one more time, and then we're done playing with you. Understand?
Jelly.
Where are you from?
Jumbo grain. Up and loose and heavy treat sandwich.
Jesus Christ, does anyone have any idea what this thing is saying?
Hotly. Dirt arrange you.
Why are you here? What the hell do you want? Why'd you stow away on that ship?
School daring, boy. Eyes many cauterizing loops through and about. Wind and Windy Mitchell.
Did he just say Mitchell? Was there a Mitchell at NASA?
Tubes.
You know what? Never mind. I can't do this anymore. Just send this thing to the guys in research. Let them cut it up or whatever they do. You hear that? They're gonna cut you up, you pain in the ass.
Spider time.
I understand the FBC agent's frustration there, but I mean, to actually dissect it, no.
Okay. I'm just going to freestyle a bit.
I'm gonna listen to this one in this way because it's there's some other sound effects interfering.
Okay. I'm just going to freestyle a bit. My mother always said, never talk to strangers. Always. Never. Always. Never. But isn't a stranger just someone you don't know? What if the only thing stopping a stranger from being a friend is that word? Stranger. Strange. Strange like the noises you hear at night when there is no light and you cannot fight. Strange like a rubber duck that follows you around and makes you drop your coffee every time that it quacks because the noise scares you. Then you have to clean up the coffee while the duck stares at you and continues to quack, 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 quack.
Riveting. There's a quote that I want to say in response to that. I'm going to paraphrase a bit. Mr. Langston, what you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent freestyling were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone who has seen this stream and this VOD is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points if this was a competition, and may God or whoever you believe in have mercy on your soul. The original quote that I've paraphrased and changed up is from the Adam Sandler movie Billy Madison. The original quote, I may as well say what it is since I've referred to it. Mr. Madison, what you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I've ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
My mother always said, never talk to strangers. Always.
Looks like whatever force had a hold on Hartman isn't mixing well with his corruption. Blake did call him the third thing. A chain letter. I remember these. Mom used to say they were evil. Better do what it says. You know.
All right.
Just in case. There must be a photocopier around here.
Okay, I won't be doing that. I just thought it was a collectible that was different. Chain letter. Move this letter along before he gets you. Oh no, the spooky man letter has found you. The spooky man curse is coming to you. To miss the curse, you must mail this letter to people. If you don't, the curse will get you. The more letters you mail, the better off you will be. Sally in Houston did not send the letter and the spooky man ate her cat. Terrence in Greenstone did not send the letter and the spooky man gave him acne. Kyle did not send the letter and now his wife eats dinner alone. Linda did send more letters, 30 letters in total so far, and look at her now. She owns 3 cars, she has all her fingers, she speaks Italian. You need this mail letter. You better mail this letter. Don't let the spooky man come. He'll take your cat. Go find your stamps. Hurry. Mr. Goatee, out of all the characters in this game, you like the janitor. He's just so odd but mysterious. Yeah, Artie is such a great character. He really, really fit the whole game really well, like the reality shifting and all that kind of stuff. And he's a very unique kind of character in this game as well. You know, and yeah, he's such a great character. Artie. some of the sayings he comes up with as well, like piss in your sock and all this kind of stuff. Mr. Goethe, you like how he's just there and he's like, I'm just here to clean up the mess and stop it. Exactly. And then he just wants to vacation, you know, have a sauna or 2 or 5, you know. Shaded Hartman. Examination of Paranatural Entities. Dr. Emil Hartman. Shaded. Dr. Hartman is the first Type 2 shaded individual to be examined alive by the Bureau and has proven a valuable asset for our understanding of A-010, aka the Shadow. Like all shaded individuals, the specimen is constantly shielded by, or produces, a redacted of darkness that makes visual observation difficult. This redacted also protects the specimen from harm. During testing, non-lethal ballistics proved ineffective against it. The specimen uses words and phrases that seem to originate from its previous life as a therapist. Some phrases have even been identified as quotes from Dr. Hartman's book, The Creator's Dilemma. This seems to indicate the host's personality remains redacted to some degree. For research purposes, Shaded Hartman was relocated to the Cauldron Lake Lodge replica built for the redacted AWE investigation. Researchers hope a familiar setting may trigger new behavior. This experiment has yielded no results thus far. Mr. Goethe, something screams he's more than just human for some reason. You can't put your fingers on it, but he has to be more than just human or something. Yeah, there's definitely things about the character that are unknown in this game.
Send a ranger out. Director's orders.
We're in this together!
Night Spring, screenplay, page 3. The director steps closer to the horrible entity. He reaches out with a steady hand. Director, you are mine now, creature. I will return you to my facility and control your power. Scientist, sir, we don't know. The entity instead rushes forward and engulfs the director. He screams in pain as the scientist looks on and does nothing, like the coward that he is. Entity, subtitled, I am not the one being examined. I'm not the one, locked inside a prison. Gradually, the director emerges from the entity. His once sparkling eyes are now empty and dull. The scientist rushes to him. Scientist, sir, we have to escape. Director, we cannot. They are in control now. I got what I wanted. Mr. Goethe, you'll laugh if he becomes a final boss and goes, how come you didn't listen to me when I said I'm just cleaning up the mess, Alan? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Frau Mauro supplement. Fra Mauro AWE-7, the Apollo 14 entity commonly known as Fra, underwent a series of physical examinations upon its admittance into the oldest house. The entity can speak, though its poor grasp of the English language makes any meaningful communication impossible. Interview material can be found at Redacted. Its physical form consists solely of the Extravehicular Mobility Unit (EMU) spacesuit used by NASA astronauts, the same model worn by the other crew. This could be an authentic EMU taken from one of the NASA astronauts, though this suit does not bear any wearer's name, or one materialized through redacted conversion, or possibly redacted corporealization. The suit itself is slightly damaged, which is likely due to the fact that the command module did not have a fourth seat for the entity to strap it into during re-entry. The EMU is entirely hollow and pieces can be removed, though this seems to agitate the entity. X-rays and spectrograph imaging have shown redacted-shaped outlines existing within the suit. For safety reasons, the entity will be contained in a secure cell until more information can be gathered.
There. One last place for him to hide.
Gerbil took the top head. How Gerbil bananas could orange peel. Slurp slurp. Plus field grass. Blades of oranges. Sharp sharp.
Alright, Ahti. Was this what you had in mind?
That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to actually grab the thing as I was standing on it, not grab the explosive thing next to it.
To have someone to talk to, you know? Ever since I got put in charge of the Panopticon, people treat me different, like I'm crazy for wanting to work with altered items. People just don't understand the altered items like I do, you know? I don't want to brag, but it does take a very empathetic mind to connect with the items.
Doesn't want to brag. Right.
I mean, the teams have... Still, I don't know why people are making it so personal. I mean, the teams in research handle paranatural materials every day, and no one thinks they're weird. Well, maybe that's not true. Darling is famous for being a bit out there, but when he's weird, it's charming. Altered items really aren't that frightening once you get to know them. If you figure out what they like or don't like, you know, what sets them off, then there's nothing to worry about. I guess at the end of the day, we're still just wild animals, scared of our own shadows. We're supposed to be on the same team, but sometimes it feels like it's every department for themselves, like it's a race. And I'd say Darling is a mile ahead of everyone else.
Hey there, Senny. G'day, partner. I'm in awe of this game's artistic direction. I really am. It's something that should have a strong light shone upon how great Remedy is with things like this. How's it going, Senny? Welcome on in. Hope it's going well. Good, going pretty good, thanks. Just prepping some breakfast in a bit. House control going. That's excellent, dude. I'm glad to hear that you're doing good. I hope that you enjoy breakfast as well. So what are you cooking up for brekkie? And control's going really well. I'm going to be finishing this DLC. There's some side missions I'm not doing and stuff, because I want to be able to start Alan Wake 2 today, and then that way I get a head start on the playthrough overall. But yeah, control's going really, really good.
Send a ranger to my location.
Having played Alan Wake 2 already, it's been really cool to recognize the foreshadowing and references that are in Alan Wake 2 that were also in this DLC. So it's a bit like Red Dead 1 and 2, where if you've played the first Red Dead first, when you play Red Dead Redemption 2, there's a lot of flash forwards and foreshadowing in Red Dead 2 that you can enjoy. So if you've played Alan Wake 2 first before playing this, when you get to this DLC, there'll be some extra stuff where you're like, creating connections and stuff. You're making some bread with scrambled eggs and coffee, a classic of breakfast. Can't go wrong with the classics. Like, I haven't had scrambled eggs for ages. I love, that's my best, I don't mind egg in any other ways as well, but my favorite would have to be scrambled as well. But that definitely sounds delicious, dude. Booker. Nice, that's cool. It's connected to Alan Wake 2. It really is. Certain names that pop up in this DLC, I'm like, uh-huh. And that's the great thing about having a connected universe, is being able to recognize references and little Easter eggs as well. And I mean, what they've created as well is such a great metaverse as well. Nightspring, screenplay page 2. The robust director shoves the nerd-like scientist aside and heads for the portal control panel. He slams the on button with a determined fist. All the more reason. The entire screen is filled with dangerous red. Then it fades away and we see that the two men are in another dimension. The air ripples around them as if they were a 1983 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am sitting in the Texan sun after a 5-day road trip. Internal unknown dimension night scientist. What have you done? You've doomed us. Control yourself, Doctor. Where's this beast of yours? Scientist. Right there, sir. A horrible, shapeless, shifting entity fills the horizon. It can't be described. That's how horrible it is. Director. What a thing of beauty you've been keeping from me.
Hartman thing do all this?
The law of 3 also applies to all faucets within the oldest house. Be mindful and don't cause any aquatic misconduct. Thank you for your attention.
Lots of dark corners to hide in. Okay, let's get the lights on and clear him out. Where's it running off to now?
I won't be doing this side mission for this playthrough for this DLC. Shaded specimen captured. Entity capture report regarding shaded specimen A-010, formerly Dr. Emil Hartman. An alert from the redacted Washington monitoring station indicated minor redacted activity occurring in the area. Agent Estevez was dispatched to investigate. Inside the redacted lodge, she discovered the facility's former owner, Dr. Emil Hartman. He had been converted into a shaded individual, per definitions found in File 6-34-1923, and displayed violent behavior characteristic of its type. Agent Estevez alerted the on-site research team to the specimen's presence and, with some difficulty, it was successfully contained in a black rock cell. The cell and its inhabitant were transported safely back to headquarters, where the specimen remains detained in the redacted sector as part of the redacted AWE investigation. Once the investigation is closed, research teams have petitioned to relocate the specimen to their sector for study. Drogot, these redacted are really redacted sometimes. They really are, and it's very important to remember that redacted, because if you don't have that information, it's very important to the existence of redacted. Motel complaint. Hey Stu, did you hear about Fisher? Got himself in trouble in the motel. Why the hell does anyone volunteer to take out that place? Gives me the creeps, but hey, at least he came back, if you can call it that. I saw some of the footage they pulled out of there with him. Tom down in evidence processing showed me. Crazy stuff. Fisher had the cameras pointed at himself half the time. I'm guessing he went nuts on day one. He did catch something though. Got one of those fiber optic cameras under the door of the room he was hiding in and recorded something out in the hall. Looked like a shadow, maybe human. Tom tried to get the quality up, but it's still blurry as fuck. Just reaffirms my position. Stay the fuck out of the motel. Anyway, up for some shoom later? Lisa got up to an hour and 38 minutes yesterday. New record to beat. See ya. Dave.
We need to get those lights on. We need another power core.
Hello, gamer guy. Welcome. How's things going? Of course. Gotta do all that again. How freaky is that? Blinded by the light.
Director, ma'am, great timing. Hartman just came through here. God, he was hideous. He tore the security door into the Bright Falls AWE site wide open. He was so ugly, like, wow. I got a good look at him, and Christ, he does not look like he used to. The hiss must have messed him up or something. He looks like a bar rag that's been twisted by the world's strongest man. Or a monster from some 80s horror movie. You know, back when it was all practical effects? Ugh, nasty.
Real
Did you say something?
Winston.
Remember, I can't hear you. Never mind, just go after Hartman. Oh, so disgusting.
That's the thing, Langston. I'm pretty sure that thinking that he's a monster from an 80s horror movie would be very fitting of multiple movies that have some thing in it that is going to be killing humans.
I've written, rewritten. The darkness wants to hide the past to make me lose my way. I trust what I read on these pages. I wrote them for a reason. Cut through the reality, tear it apart, and rewrite it. They are drawn to the mystery. I've written and rewritten. Deconstructed, reconstructed. Experimented with different voices. Changed the style, changed myself. Forgotten the language, relearned the language. Have I been here before? Gone down this path before? The darkness wants to hide the past to make me lose my way. You must know where you've been to know where you're going. I trust what I read on these pages. I wrote them for a reason. My notes to myself. The only way to make progress, recap, then write more. The style then. Lose the fat. Make it clear. Ugly. Functional. Present. Be blunt. Only the brutal truth. Cut through the reality, tear it apart, rewrite it. Be clever, make them do the work. Form the image in their minds. They make it, you just imply. Incept. They're drawn to the mystery, obsessed. You set it up, they put it together. Their interpretation, and there's only one because you give them no choice. And they believe in it. Because it's theirs now.
So many things about these, having played Alan Wake 2 now, that it's just like... It's just chef's kiss.
Let's go take care of it.
Gamer Glad. Going well, thanks. You're off work today, and tomorrow due to your store has closed down yesterday afternoon due to building work, which won't be completed until April. Oh, wow. So you went home early. You're just chilling, waiting for confirmation of what local store you'll be placed at from HR. Also checking your workout for next week's shifts. It's not published yet. Hopefully you'll know soon. Hopefully so, Gamer Glad for sure. Because, yeah, that's a long time until April. That's for sure as well. Hopefully you can find out very soon about your next week's shift as well. Because, yeah, it can get annoying too, especially when you want to try and plan things around stuff, but also know when you can and can't do certain things. So you got 4 days off, chilling till Monday. Well, that's good. It's good that you got 4 days to be able to relax and all that. So that's really cool. I hope those days go very, very slowly.
Thank you for meeting with us again, Dr. Hartman.
It's my pleasure, gentlemen. I hope the information I provided thus far has been of some small use.
It's been invaluable, Doctor. Really, we have a much clearer picture of this event, thanks to your accounts.
Well, I do consider myself a keen observer.
We did have one question, though. You mentioned in an earlier conversation that your patients displayed, and I'm paraphrasing here, unnatural abilities that you in fact encouraged during their time in your lodge. It'd be very helpful if you could fill us in on the details there.
Of course. Like yourselves, I work to understand and even bend the rules of our earthly paradigm. My patient's well-being was paramount, of course, but I would hardly be a man of science if I did not reach out at the underlying truth. As I stated in my written proposal, I believe working alongside your organization could be greatly beneficial to both parties. Sharing notes, as they say.
Thank you, Doctor. That's all we need to hear. Remy?
Dr. Emil Hartman, you have been found in breach of Codes 4, 8, and 74 of the Federal Bureau of Control Criminal Offense System.
What? You can't do this. I am a well-connected man. You're making a dire mistake, my friend.
You will be detained until further notice, and all personal property will be confiscated, including the Cauldron Lake Lodge.
That's preposterous. You can't just seize my property. I'm a United States citizen. I have rights. That lodge is my life's work. I'm offering you years of research.
Get him out of here.
You're making a mistake. You have to listen to me. You have to listen.
That's the thing about Hartman, always trying to find an angle, trying to find a way to latch on, to something else. And that's why, he latched on to Thomas Zane. And why he's like, all the information I've got, we could work together, the FBC. He's constantly trying to find, someone to collaborate with stuff on as well. But in that interview, he doesn't realize that the Federal Bureau of Control obviously have their own internal criminal, justice system and all that kind of stuff, different codes and things that can be broken and all that kind of stuff. And, so that's an interview with him that they conducted. Or interrogation.
Forgotten again. I had a plan. I know it. I've forgotten. He's coming. I've got to get out of here. Dive deep.
whatever is going on with Wake, he clearly needs some help.
That's the thing about staying in a place like that for so long, writing stories and trying to find a way to escape, and how much time has passed while in there and not knowing how much time has passed and how much time actually has passed, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I like the idea of using literal doorways as physical representations of the concept of multiple different doors leading to multiple different realities, kind of thing. And that's the thing about the concept of a door. Is that being an entrance or exit point, and it doesn't actually have to be a door literally either. It can also be a door in many different ways, depending on what you want to do with your story that you're coming up with. Like,
mad. Wake had to escape, right? His escape. Wake needed a hero. A hero needed a crisis. For the part in the story about the government agency, Wake needed something special, something to convey an alien force mimicking human intelligence.
in your story, you could make a doorway simply being like a hole in the ground or something, you know. But this idea of having things connecting to each other and all that kind of stuff, and it's definitely something that they do a lot in these games for sure, with the connections and all that kind of stuff. And creatively to do that kind of thing, like, you know, and keep track of everything. That's the other thing too. You know, it's one thing to create these interconnected stories, but it's another thing to keep track of what you've already done. And in some ways, you know, that kind of stuff is what happens to Alan. He's sort of like, you know, writing and rewriting and coming up with new ideas, and then it's like, well, have I done this before? Have I been here before? You know, have I written this before? Maybe I wrote it before, but then decided it was trash, but now I'm remembering the idea and forgetting that I trashed it before, you know? All this kind of stuff. And even in Alan Wake 1, what I loved was the idea of having actual things that writers deal with being put into the story about a writer having to deal with those things. You know, there's so many different layers of meta that you could do. And that's what these games do so well, especially with Alan Wake Control and Alan Wake 2, so far, at least. And the thing about Alan Wake and the fact that he's been writing these different realities, that gives Remedy so many IPs that they could actually create, you know, within the same universe if they wanted to, you know what I mean?
The story needed many beginnings, many springs, streams that turned into a river, a flood, and then an ocean. This was one. Wake used the materials he had, the connections he had, the people, the places, Wake put them in to make it true. His wife, the psychiatrist, his city. These connections, like magnets, move things. Alice was a conduit. She'd been in the dark place. The thing that had been Hartman sensed her near, sensed Wake through her. Went berserk, broke loose. Wake made sure Alice was already gone by then. Safe. The more springs, the more the story became real. The more people believed. Cause and effect. It was extremely delicate and hard work. It had to go through the path of least resistance where success was most likely. Where there was a connection already. Wake felt the pressure grow in his head. Going mad. Wake had to escape. Right. His escape. He was already out. He wanted to make it true. Wake needed a hero. A hero needed a crisis. For the part in the story about the government agency, Wake needed something special, something to convey an alien force mimicking human intelligence. Something that can't be translated. Translated. Wake channeled Burroughs and Bowie. He cut up sentences and words. Orange peel. You are home. Insane. He put them in a shoebox. He pulled out the words. Wake created a Dadaist poem. He'd try anything once. Or had he tried this before?
So, a Dadaist poem. It's like, I'm looking up what it actually means, and it's like trying to find something that is a good meaning for it. Apparently it was an art movement. Dadaism was born out of chaos. It responded to the horrors of World War I. Anyway, there's not an actual concise, clear definition of what Dadaist actually is, and I don't want to spend the stream trying to figure that out.
Another replica. Like the one they made for Ordinary. I wonder what happened here.
Alice Wake interview. Interview hashtag 65-F-124. Subject Alice Wake. After reaching out to the Bureau, Alice Wake was brought into the oldest house for an interview on Redacted 2017. See file redacted for the full transcript. The interview conducted by agents Shah and Dempsey revealed that Mrs. Wake has had recurring nightly visitations from her missing ex-husband in her New York apartment, address redacted. Mr. Wake appears out of nowhere and rushes at her down the corridor. According to her impression, he appears crazy and horrifying, clearly coming at her with violent intent. Mrs. Wake believes that he is haunting her, insisting he is not Alan but a fucking monster in his body. Mrs. Wake has not been sleeping out of the fear of these visits. Her attempts to keep the lights on through the night result in the relevant hallway's light bulb breaking every night, possibly indicating involvement of the redacted. Further investigation required. We propose installing monitoring equipment in the apartment. Copies of supply requests from L-501-4 have been sent to Mr. Kirkland and administration for approval.
Send a ranger out. Director's orders.
Let's do this!
some fight. You're pretty rough on the eyes, Dr.
This is the director. I need backup at my location.
Nice to see a director out in the field.
Pick up everything but the fucking thing I want. Ugh. I fucking almost had him before he fucking made darkness happen again. Like, almost. I should have switched to the other fucking weapon.
This is the director. I need backup at my location.
What? Bullshit.
This is the director. I need a ranger at this location immediately.
No, that's bullshit. Fucking hit him before he even fucking did that. You motherfucker. About fucking time.
Hartman won't be a problem anymore, Langston. But investigations need someone to run it. Interested?
I've seen what happens to sector heads, ma'am. No, thank you. Ma'am, I'm getting something on my terminal here, an AWE alert from Bright Falls, Washington. But it might be a glitch. The date's all wrong, a couple of years in the future. And we're in lockdown, there shouldn't be any incoming signals.
Maybe it was active before we went into lockdown? Are there agents on site?
Let me check. Agent Estevez is the field agent in charge of monitoring the site, so she should be there to let us know if the situation has been through any major changes recently.
It's not a loop, it's a spiral.
Things set in motion. If the alarm's true, then so is the reason for the alarm. The effect must follow the cause. It's happening again. A return. You have been warned.
Let's put him down!
Just to go tell you, you can picture it right though from what you said earlier, Artie just becoming insanely angry, right, and just become a boss, and once you kill him you end up in Alan's world and things all collide and become problematic. Yeah, imagine that in an alternate universe.
These are the notes of Dr. Emil Hartman. I am continuing my work alone again since certain parties were too blind to recognize a golden opportunity. Despite my generous offers, the conversations came to naught. Some people simply do not value collaboration as I do. Though I believe now that it was for the best. The sort of bold, pioneering work that I am undertaking cannot thrive under the shackles of bureaucracy and regulation. I have a history of seeking such partnerships. There was a time when I had hoped Alan Wake and I could collaborate. Together we could have produced art such that the world has never seen. But Wake was stubborn, egotistical. Writers usually are. Disappointing nonetheless. But now, like Tom before him, Wake has disappeared into Cauldron Lake. And this is where my work turns hypothetical. Since he was lost to the lake, Thomas Zane has been observed by various townspeople. This indicates to me that the individuals within the lake are not entirely gone. I anticipate Wake will similarly return one day. While I may harbor some resentment for the man, his raw talent and determination are undeniable. From this, I have concluded that the lake and the dark place within it are not as removed from this world as I previously thought. Given my acute awareness of what awaits within, my meticulous preparations, and my considerable education, I believe myself much more prepared than either Tom or Wake. I should be able to cross into that dark realm with the chance to return as they have. All that remains is the dive itself. It frightens me, I admit, but such is the burden of the truth seeker. I will take my plunge into the dark tomorrow, with only the light of knowledge to guide me. It is time for a breakthrough. Until I return.
Well, Hartman, you will return, just not the way that you expect. And it's not going to be as simple as what you're making it out to be. Bright Falls, 1976 supplement. Bright Falls AWE 10. Details. On the day of the flooding, the rock band Old Gods of Asgard was rehearsing in a field outside the Anderson farm, the homestead of band members Odin and Tor Anderson. Both admitted to being in a heavy state of inebriation at the time, having spent days drinking their home-brewed moonshine while celebrating Deerfest. After the townspeople were evacuated from the flooded field, Sheriff Breaker was asked by Freya Anderson, daughter of Tor Anderson, to check on her father and uncle. Breaker drove to the Anderson farm and found the band members alive but in need of medical aid. Tor Anderson had been struck by lightning, and Odin Anderson had cut out his own right eye, a possible reference to Norse deities Redacted and Redacted. They claimed they had fought and valiantly defeated a dark army of the Scratching Hag, rising from Cauldron Lake, see AWE Redacted of 1970, related to the suspected Redacted at Diver's Isle. While impossible to verify, these events are relevant to the recurring AWE at Bright Falls and the Cauldron Lake Redacted. Odin and Tor Anderson have been listed as persons of interest.
This must be where they started.
Do I have to do the fight again? Oh no, well that's good. I was going to say... Oops. Bright Falls AWE 10. An unconfirmed threshold manifestation occurred at Cauldron Lake, Washington. The citizens of Bright Falls had gathered in the town's southwestern fields for the annual festival known as Deerfest. Eyewitnesses all claimed that the day had been sunny, confirmed by reviews of the area's weather reports, but then, with no warning, a thunderstorm appeared in the direction of the Anderson farm, and a tornado rose from Cauldron Lake. The torrential rain that followed caused a flash flood. It was as if the day had turned to night, testimony from Redacted. Frank Breaker, the sheriff of Bright Falls, formerly a bureau agent, see employee file Redacted, managed to guide the crowd to safety as the festival grounds were destroyed by the flood. The festival was cancelled, ending one day early. Lack of official bureau presence on the scene makes this event difficult to report as a confirmed AWE, though the similarity to other known events in the Bright Falls area lend credence to the accounts of the townspeople. Okay, so Frank Breaker sheriff of Bright Falls. He's the father of Sarah Breaker, who ends up becoming the sheriff of Bright Falls as well. In Alan Wake 1, Barry calls him to give him the code word Night Springs, and a few other people in the town to give them a heads up that there's some kind of like weird thing going on, and for them to take whatever precautions they usually take when such a thing happens, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to be doing any side content for this DLC, so pretty much I've done what I set out to do as part of the annual Control playthrough for 2024, and once I get to another point... Oh no, hang on, there's something else to read. Oops. Night Springs screenplay, page 4. The scientist turns from what used to be his director, now transformed into a stranger, an alien that only resembles the director in form. He drops his all-important clipboard as he stumbles towards the closing portal, but the horrible entity is already rushing through it in a flow of insanity and chaos. The scientist becomes caught in it, and the entity devours him, screaming as it enters our world. The director lifts his pistol to his head. His hand is steady, sure in its finality. Director, or so I thought. Camera fades to black, a gunshot is heard, narrator voiceover, and so our hunger for control, our obsession for domination and power, the hubris at play in this children's puppet show we're starring in, can only lead to our fall from control, to submit to those who really hold the strings and control us. In Night Springs. End of screenplay. Oh my god. I was gonna say, didn't want to interact with that one first. Oh my god. Alright, let's just fast travel out of here.
Oh, I can't believe the emergency rations don't include beer. Fucking thirsty. Man, I never thought I'd be working in the executive sector. Look at me now, Ma.
I'll see you later.
You know where I'll be.
Who moved my waveform of the hiss recording?
Sorry, ma'am.
Hi, Jesse. Well, I've got a bureau to run. See you soon.
Yes, ma'am, Director Faden.
Please, Emily. Not even as a joke.
Alrighty then, so this is the end of the playthrough in its entirety for what I wanted to do for Control. We did the main game, we did the Foundation DLC, and now the AWE DLC as well. What that now means is the next game to replace Control will be Alan Wake 2. I'm going to be doing my second ever playthrough of that game. This time though, going to be using or doing the New Game Plus mode that was actually added recently. So I just want to thank everyone so much for watching this stream. I really appreciate it. For those who can't come back to the next stream, which will be in about half an hour time, that's definitely understandable. Thanks for watching this stream. If you see me streaming Alan Wake 2, then it's either still Thursday for me here in Australia, or the stream has ended and it is Friday. But from today onwards, Alan Wake 2 will be the Monday through to Friday game until I finish that off. So Saturday I've got my Red Dead Redemption 2 annual playthrough with a new approach for me to the game that I'm going to be doing. So I'll reveal what the details of that are when we actually get to the end of Friday. But I just want to thank everyone for watching. Really appreciate the support. Just want to give a couple of shout outs before I actually end the stream. Would like to highly recommend people check out Crocodiles, who's doing a playthrough of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. He's doing a series run, but this time he's actually playing through without the HUD, but also he can't look at the map. Like he can look at the map only a certain amount of times, and he's also doing that with all the other Assassin's Creed games. He can't fast travel as well, as another rule. He's also playing through The Crew. He's been doing a playthrough of that, and he's also played Alan Wake and Control before, so he's played those games. He's a great streamer with a lot of funny channel point rewards, so highly recommend checking out his channel. And also highly recommend checking out Mr. Gote. He's playing games like Mortal Kombat 11. He's also a horror fan. He's a fan of games like the Outlast series as well as Dead Space as well. He's also a fan of Hunt Showdown and Ghost Recon, among other things. Another great streamer with a great channel and a great vibe as well. So yeah, highly recommend checking out those two streamers. Hey there, Ambivalent. Thank you so much for the GGs. I just want to thank everyone for watching. I'll be back in 30 minutes with Alan Wake 2. Thanks for watching. Dun 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 dun. Bum 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 bum.